The sun was shining brightly over the crowded city park, where a weekend fair was in full swing. Colorful tents lined the paths, and the air smelled of popcorn and fresh-cut grass. Families laughed as children ran between booths, and street musicians played lively tunes nearby. It was the kind of day where people came to enjoy simple fun and good company. In the middle of the crowd stood a young couple. She was quiet and gentle, her eyes soft but watchful as she stayed close to him. Her light jacket was zipped up, even though the warmth of the day begged for something lighter. She fiddled nervously with the edge of her sleeve, careful not to draw too much attention. He was loud and confident, the kind of person who easily took control of any room or crowd. His voice carried as he joked and chatted with friends around them. But his eyes often flicked to her in a way that wasn't kind. There was an invisible tension between them, something unspoken that made the air feel tight whenever they were close. As the crowd buzzed with excitement, the girl stayed quiet, her jacket seeming like a small shield hiding something deeper. Around them people smiled and enjoyed the day, unaware that this peaceful moment was about to change forever. As the couple moved through the crowd, the boyfriend's loud voice cut through the hum of chatter. "You know," he said, nudging her lightly with a smirk, "maybe you should stop hiding those ugly scars, they make you look like a freak." His words landed hard, sharp and careless. The girl's hand tightened around the zipper of her jacket, but she didn't say anything. She stared straight ahead, her heart pounding, trying to hold back the sting of shame that threatened to rise. She had heard those kinds of words before, but hearing them now, in front of so many people, made her feel small and exposed. A few people nearby glanced over, sensing the sudden shift in the air. Some exchanged quick, uncomfortable looks, but no one stepped forward. The boy's confidence seemed to grow as he saw she wasn't fighting back. "I mean, who would want to be with someone who looks like that?" he added, louder this time, laughing a little to hide the cruelty in his voice. She swallowed the lump in her throat, biting back the urge to respond. Instead, she reached up and pulled her jacket a little tighter around her arms, trying to cover what he had insulted. There was sadness in her eyes, but also something stronger, a quiet determination not to give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. Around them, the crowd grew quieter, the lively energy dimming as more people noticed the tension. Yet no one spoke up. The girl stood still, caught between the weight of his words and the urge to stand tall despite them. The boyfriend's voice grew louder, cutting through the soft murmur of the crowd like a knife. "Seriously, why do you even bother trying to hide those scars? They're disgusting. People must stare at you all the time. It's embarrassing." The girl's heart sank deeper with every word. She could feel the eyes of strangers on her, the weight of their silent judgment pressing down. Some in the crowd began to whisper among themselves, their faces showing discomfort and surprise. A few glanced away, unsure of what to do. Her cheeks burned, not from the heat of the sun, but from the shame that welled up inside. She wanted to shrink, to disappear from the world that suddenly seemed so cruel, yet beneath that shame was a quiet strength, a voice inside telling her to hold on. He didn't stop. "I don't get how you expect anyone to respect you, looking like a mess. If you want people to take you seriously, you should at least try to look normal." The words echoed in her ears, but she stood still, her hands clenched at her sides beneath the jacket. The crowd's whispers grew louder, curiosity and unease filling the space around them. Then something inside her shifted. The embarrassment and hurt burned fiercely, but so did a new feeling, courage. She had hidden for too long. She had let others' opinions decide how she felt about herself. Slowly, deliberately, she reached up and touched the zipper of her jacket. The crowd's whispers hushed, their eyes now fixed on her. For a moment no one spoke, her fingers trembled slightly, but she made a choice. This was her moment to take control, not to let shame rule her life anymore. With a deep breath, she began to pull the jacket down. The air grew still as the crowd waited, hearts pounding with anticipation. The girl was about to reveal what she had been hiding for years, and everyone was about to see the true story behind the scars. Slowly the girl pulled the zipper of her jacket all the way down. The fabric slipped off her shoulders and fell away, revealing the skin beneath, marked by scars that stretched across her arms and chest. The scars were deep and uneven, their rough texture catching the sunlight. They told a story of pain and survival, of nights filled with fear and days spent healing. The crowd fell silent. A sharp collective gasp escaped from many around her. Some people stepped back, eyes wide with surprise. Others looked moved, their faces softening as they saw not just the scars, but the strength in the way she held herself. The boyfriend's confident smile faded, his mouth opened but no words came out. For once he was speechless. She stood tall, meeting the eyes of those around her without shame. The pain inside her wasn't gone, it never would be, but she refused to let it control her anymore. Taking a slow breath, she spoke, her voice steady and clear. "These scars," she said, "are part of my story. I got them in a fire when I was younger. It was the hardest time of my life. I was scared, hurt, and felt like I would never be whole again." She paused, her gaze strong, "But I survived. I fought through the pain, through the fear, and I'm still here." The crowd listened, many nodding quietly. Her words weren't filled with anger or sadness, they carried something much stronger, hope and courage. "I wear these scars like a badge," she continued. "Not because I want pity, but because they remind me how strong I am. They don't make me less worthy or less beautiful. They make me me." A few people wiped tears from their eyes. The mood in the crowd shifted from shock to respect. The girl wasn't a victim, she was a fighter, and in that moment she was more powerful than any insult. The boyfriend looked away, unable to meet her gaze. The loud mocking words had no place here. The girl had shown him, and everyone watching, that true strength comes from inside, and no scar, no insult, could take that away. As the crowd remained silent, a middle-aged woman stepped forward from the group nearby. She wore a brace on her leg, and walked slowly but steadily toward the girl. Her voice was calm but strong as she spoke. "I know what it feels like to carry something visible that others don't understand," the woman said. "I lost my leg in an accident years ago, and I've faced my own share of stares and whispers, but like you, I learned to stand tall and own my story. You are brave to show your scars today." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. A few more people began to speak up, sharing their own experiences, some with disabilities, others with hardships that left marks you couldn't always see. The mood shifted into something powerful, a community standing together in respect and kindness. The boyfriend, looking embarrassed and small now, stepped forward and tried to apologize. "I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry if I hurt you," he said quietly. But the girl shook her head, her eyes steady and clear. "You don't get to say sorry after all the pain you caused. Respect isn't optional, it's required. I won't let anyone treat me less than I am." With that, she took a deep breath, lifted her chin, and walked away from the crowd with quiet dignity. Her steps were calm, her posture proud. She didn't need anyone's approval, she had shown herself, and the world, her true strength. Behind her the crowd slowly began to clap, softly at first, then growing louder. People who had once watched in silence, were now inspired to stand for kindness, respect and understanding. The girl's scars were no longer just a mark of pain, they were a symbol of courage. The boyfriend was left standing alone, learning a hard lesson about empathy and the power of words. But the girl, she walked away stronger than ever, unbroken and free. In a world that often judges by what it sees on the surface, true strength comes from within. The courage to show one's scars, whether they are visible or hidden, is a powerful act of self-acceptance. It is a refusal to be defined by pain, or by the opinions of others. The girl's story reminds us that everyone carries battles we might not understand. Sometimes the marks we bear tell stories of survival, of hardship overcome, and of a spirit that refuses to be broken. When she chose to reveal her scars, she wasn't asking for sympathy, she was claiming her own worth. Empathy and kindness are what can change the world. They help us see beyond appearances, and recognize the humanity in each other. The whispers and stares can be silenced when we choose to stand together, supporting one another instead of tearing each other down. The scars we carry, no matter how painful, can become symbols of growth and resilience. They remind us that we have faced darkness, and come through the other side stronger and wiser. This story is a call to look deeper, to listen more carefully, and to treat each other with the respect everyone deserves. And for those who bear their own scars, seen or unseen, it is a message of hope. Hope that your story matters. Hope that your courage will inspire others, and hope that one day you will walk with your scars not as something to hide, but as the marks of a life lived bravely.